You come here often, love? Oh, you do? Yeah, I come down the Heli-Shed quite a bit. I'll be honest with you, I knew what your answer was going to be. I've seen you leaning against the wall with the other girls. Yeah, but I'll be honest with you, I've only really had eyes for you. Ever since your cousin, the 400 3D. Yeah, I know. Well look, we're together now. We're mixing it up. Maybe there's a future for us. Maybe we can move this relationship on. What do you think? What? You're moving on to a bloke called Guy because I put you on eBay? Really? Welcome legends and Heli-Heads, choppers and stick bangers. Welcome to another episode on Heli-Shed. A bit like the Sab Goblin Fireball Havoc edition that we done, where we done a pre-video for a guy that bought the helicopter called Andre, and you can see that up there. Well, this is a similar video that I'm doing for a guy that has bought the 450X. That is a guy called Guy. This video is dedicated to him. I'm going to put it on the Heli-Shed because it might be useful for those of you who are thinking about getting a 450X. Now look, joking aside, why am I selling on the 450X? Well, a bit like the Sab Goblin Fireball, I never really had chance to bond with it, and more importantly, I've got a fantastic helicopter coming. You know, I've got to make room. It's as simple as that. And you know what? You can fall in the danger of having too many helicopters. And this channel is not about buy a helicopter, talk about it, get rid of it, get another one. So I need to thin down the fleet. And the 450X, I'm afraid, is one that's got to go. Now, we named the 450X Brenda, which of course is Old Norse. And if you can't remember why we called her Brenda, then the answer is up there, go take a look. The 450X is an outstanding helicopter. For those of you who are not aware, the 450X is a third generation helicopter. Originally the 400 3D, which I had myself when I was still serving in the British Army. I actually bought that after my first Afghanistan tour. My next door neighbour bought an E-Sky, I believe it was an E-Sky Bumblebee or something like that, I don't know. But we both crashed them at the same time. And thereafter it became the 450 3D, which obviously went up in blade size and introduced the fly barless concept. Many people who had a 400 3D turned it into a fly barless concept then. And the 450 3D, which I believe was an Align 3G fly barless unit, then became the 450X. Now, it was called the X because the 450X came as standard with an AR 7200 Beast X. Basically, a micro Beast X inside a Spectrum receiver. Best of both worlds, oh yes. And that used to mount on the top, and that was why it was called the 450X. So from a 400 3D to a 450 3D to a 450X, and the next one above that, the fourth in the generation if you like, is what you can still get now, which is the 330X. Basically the same size helicopter, different naming convention. These blades are 325 blades. These blades that are fitted on here come as standard, they're carbon fibre. And the 450X really is a performance machine. Don't let the size fool you. And this particular model has got an uprated motor. So I think it came originally with a 4200 kV. This one has been uprated by a GART motor, we'll have a look in a minute. And this one actually is 3800 kV. So slightly slower head speed, but certainly more torque, which means that this is really pulling itself through the sky. This is an excellent example. It's got an aluminium swash, an aluminium rotor head with plastic blade grips on the end there. And at the back there, we've got, you know, a metal tail set up. And even at 450, we've got thrust bearings in there, and tail is weighted so that it has that much more authority in the sky. A really, really nice helicopter. This helicopter is belt driven. So we've got a nice big belt in there, helical main drive. It being belt driven, of course, means that we can auto rotate this and save it if we have a bad day. The servos are high quality and a better version than the previous generation from the 450 3D. So the servos are very good as well. Durable, lightweight landing gear, are really, as I said, an excellent helicopter. This particular helicopter for Guy is ready to go. All he's got to do is plug his fly barless unit in and fly it. And for those of you who don't know, you don't need a full receiver setup with a helicopter of this size. You can very easily put a MicroBeast X on there, and through the ports on the side connect a Spectrum satellite, and you can run it off of one satellite very happily. The difference between the 450 and a 500 is significant in my view. These are only 325mm blades. You know, a 500 more often than not comes with 425mm blades, or even some of them are true 500s with 500mm blades, and we're really getting into big territory at that point. So a great helicopter, ideally a park flyer, but if you want to ramp this up, then this will hold its own amongst the very, very best, even in 2023. And I say that because you could have bought this in 2012. It's, you know, essentially 11 years old. And yet, you know what? Innovation moves us forward, but it has stood the test of time, and it will stand the test of time. Now, I'm going to take this apart in a minute so I can put this in a nice box for Guy and get it picked up by DPD and delivered to him. And of course, you know, part of this video, not just for Heli-Shed because it's content that may be useful for people, but also for him so that you can see that, one, it's a decent helicopter, it's not in pieces and all the rest of it, you know, ready to go. As I said, a really, really nice helicopter. I've had 2 flights on it and loved every bit of it. And it was a bit nostalgic for me, if you like, even though I've come from a 400 3D, because I felt like I'd finally done it. I'd won the day. I was able to fly her around and flip her and do all sorts. And yet, when I first sort of come across the 400 family, I was in a tennis court in Cyprus after an Afghanistan tour, wrapped up the throttle, and it disappeared into the sky and landed in someone's garden. So I've been able to put that to bed. Like I said, I'm going to have to strip this down. Quick intro to the motor. There's the GART motor, a known upgrade on the 450X. The original motor, a 4200 kV. A lot of the community used to fly these at the time, felt that the head speed was about right, but ultimately it just lacked oomph, it lacked torque. And so the natural upgrade was the old-fashioned GART, and in this case, we've got the 450 size 3800 kV there. It's got that much more punch. On the side here, you can see that it's actually an XT60 connector, but on this case, I've just added a little adapter there for EC3. But if you want to run XT60 batteries, you can just disconnect that and it will run with XT60 batteries. ESC in this is 35 amp, which is more than enough, and has also got, well, it's an SBEC, it's an SBEC, so it's all ready to go. All that you've got to do with this is plug in a charged battery, connect your fly barless unit, set it up, and off you go and fly it. You know, a little bit gutted I haven't had a chance to spend a bit more time with her. Oh, I mean that, lovey. But ultimately, what we've got around the corner is something amazingly special, and I can't wait to share that with you. But we need the wall space. The 450X has got to go. What about spares for the 450X? Well, in the UK, you're actually in a good position. Midland Helicopters do a fantastic array of spares for the 450X, as does Align Trex models, and I'll put links to them in the description below. The 450X is one of those types of machines that, although it's coming on a bit now, and as I said earlier, you know, essentially 11 years old, there are so many of them out there that although you can't buy a new one, they're not going anywhere. And parts are, you know, a mass. You shouldn't really have a problem with 450X parts. I think even Heli-Shop might actually do parts for 450X. I'm not sure. It's not really their bag. But, you know, if you can still buy parts for a Gowie 425 Hurricane from Align Trex models, then guess what? They've got plenty to keep you busy for a 450X. Oh yes. So here's the package laid out. We got 5 2200 batteries, 3 cell, all on storage charge, all good. These have all been tested for internal resistance. These are all good. 3 of these are XT60. I keep saying XT60. Let me just check. Yeah, it is XT60. I always get it mixed up. XT60, XT90, XT30. Well, size, Heli-Shed, sorted out. 2200s. Yeah, the previous one, the 453D with the 3G Align on the back here, I think the batteries then were 1800 milliamp, but now for the 450X, they're 2200 milliamp. And also the, as I said, the ESC has been uprated as well. This has got a better motor in it. This motor is far, far better than the standard 4200 kV that comes with it, which, as I've said several times now, was a higher head speed, but ultimately less punch. This thing will pull you through the sky better than Santa's sleigh on cocaine. Yeah, it's got some punch on it. Like I said, really, really good condition. The belt is all good. The tail, as I said, weighted grips. Personally, I'd get rid of these. I don't like plastic grips. I don't like plastic grips. Plastic tail rotors, I'd get rid of them. I'd put carbon on. That's just me, but you don't have to. The weighted metal alloy tail blade grips. The boom, of course, which is all straight and nice, etc. Again, I'd get rid of this. I'd put something nice on there, carbon. And if I had kept her, that was my intent, was to bling her up, because I'm confident enough not to throw her into the ground, etc. The helical main gear, not sure if this is standard. I think they probably would be. Would I get rid of that? I probably wouldn't. I'd leave it as it is, but I know that you can upgrade that to Delrin and all the rest of it. No cracks on the frame at all. Good condition and well set up. I think the sticker's missing off of that servo there, but you can see the servos they're E-Flite servos. Some variants of 450Xs came with the Spectrum servos, but to be perfectly honest with you, they are exactly the same. But these servos are not the same servos that were fitted to the 453D. They are better than those. These are good servos. Anything else to say on that? Canopy is good, no cracks, etc., which is unusual. So all good. Now, I've got to strip her down now and get her in the box for you. And hopefully, if I've got enough time, I'll record that, but probably not. But there we go. Good. Oh, and look, I'm going to chuck some. These are I thought I had a load of spares, but I haven't. These are the only spares I've got, which are for the rods at the end here, the ball end caps. You're welcome to those, and I'll settle them up. Now then, for the rest of you, how much is that? I'll tell you how much, 125 quid. That is a bargain. So next time old Heli-Shed puts something up on the flea bay, ready for them to fleece me on their 12.5%, I'll tell you now, you won't get any cheaper for a better quality heli. I'm all about making sure that these girls get a good home. All that's important to me is that they get used. Helicopters need to fly. Now, as I've been stripping this helicopter down, the tail servo, we can see here, the clip is only very, very thin plastic. And as I undone that, that has just basically failed. Now, it seems to me that this would have failed in flight at some point, purely from the torque going through the servo. So that can't be used. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bundle a better servo with that, which will be the Spectrum servo, which is in good condition, very nice thick base there, and that will fit on the bracket much better than this. To be frank, you know, we're on the 330X now. We've moved away from the E-Flite type servos and we've moved into the Spectrum servos. So, you know, free upgrade. Whee! There we go, guy, all done, all stripped down, etc. Batteries are in there, canopy, all nice and safe in a really good box. And obviously a bag of bits, the main gear, the new servo that I've put in there for you to replace that rear rudder servo that cracked, and all the other bits and pieces you need to rebuild her when you get her. And I'm sure you've got a manual for that, but if not, reach out and I'll send one to you. Right, let's package her up and let's get her off. Hope that was useful, legends, as an intro to the 450X, and of course the guy who's bought this package from me on eBay. We'll get this sent off to you tomorrow. No travel to the post office for Mrs. Heli-Shed. No, DPD are coming here. Best have a hoover up before they turn up. Enjoy the 450X, I'm sure you will. Right, that's it, time for me to go now. In the words of Scott Manley, fly safe.